Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.45 Tam badham ityopa mantrya pravishya gajasahavyam striyascha swapuram yasyam premna ragyan nivaritaham. This is prayers of Queen Kunti chapter that section is got over now. And as Krishna is about to depart, Tam Badham. Krishna smiled at Kunti Maharani and accepted her prayers. And then Itya Upamantriya. He informed Kunti and other elder ladies about his departure. Pravishya Gajasahavyam. Pravishya. He entered the palace to inform all of them. Striyascha swaputram yasyam premna ragya nivarita. Striyascha swapuram yasyam. When he was just after informing all of them, he was about to depart. At that time, premna, with love, ragya nivaritaha. The king, with love, with affection, requested him to stay on, do not go. And Krishna agreed. So why did Krishna agree? Actually, Yudhisthira was in a very distressed predicament, and seeing that distress, seeing that Yudhisthira was overwhelmed with grief, he agreed to stay. Krishna agreed to stay. What was his predicament? That will be described now. Yasadyair ishvare hagyai Krishnenadbhuta karmana prabodhito apitihasai nabudhyat shucharpitaha. Vyasadibhir ishvare hagyai. Vyasadibhir, Vyas and others, even the Ishwar, even the Supreme Lord himself, they all Krishnenadbhuta karmana. Krishna, who is the performer of all kinds of extraordinary activities, even he couldn't persuade, even he couldn't convince Maharaj Yudhisthira. Prabodhito apitihasai. Prabodhito, he was solaced by that. Itihasai, they did not just give some sweet word, they actually quoted from the historical incidences from the scriptures from the past to substantiate their points. Na buddhyat shucharpitaha. Na buddhyat. He was not satisfied. So what is going on here? This is like a different theme that is being explored, and the scene is being set for the exploration of that theme here. So the point that is made is that he was not satisfied. He was not pacified. So he was in great distress. What was his distress? Let's look at that now. 47 takes. Raja dharma sutash chintayan suradam vadham prakritenatmana vipraha sneha moha vasham gataha. This is text 47. Raja dharma sutash. He spoke. He was the son of Dharma. He is actually a very virtuous and glorious king. The son of Dharma. Dharma Sutash. Chintayan Surdam Badam. Chintayan. What was he thinking? Why had he got so distressed? Because he was thinking Surdam Badam. Actually, I have killed my relatives. I am responsible for them. It's Prakrutena Atmana Vipraha. Prakrutena, it appeared as if a material conception. Atmana, Vipraha, Sutta Goswami speaking to assembled sages. Sneha moha vasham gataha. Because of affection, because of attachment, moha vasham gataha. He had gone into great illusion. He had gone into, so it appeared that in his distress, in the distress which he was undergoing, he felt very greatly overwhelmed, and feeling overwhelmed as he could not do anything constructive. He felt he was acting just like a common person who might be overwhelmed by grief. Similarly, Yudhisthira Maharaj is also overcome by grief. "48. What did he speak? Aho me pashyata jnanam hridhi rudham duratmanah पारक्यस्यैव देहस्य भव्यो मे अक्षहुणिर्हतः अहो मे पश्यत." Just see my ignorance, ajnanam. Hridhi rudham duratmanah. You see the ignorance that is situated in my heart, how misdirected I am. That parakyasya dehasya, that this body which does not belong even to me, this body which is actually someone else's property, bhavyo me akshahunirhataha, for protecting this body I have caused the death of many divisions of soldiers. Akshahunirhataha. So here what is Parikshit Maharaj, what is Yudhisthira Maharaj saying? That there are many important words here. One relevant word for us is the point that he is saying, "Oh Lord, even this body does not belong to me." Parakyasyaiva. Normally, if something doesn't belong to us, somebody else has given it to us, we may take care of it, but we will not be excessively worried about it. If some acquaintance comes and tells us, "Okay, I have got this car, can I park it in your courtyard?" We say, "Okay." But it's not that we are going to, if say there is a big fire coming up and that fire is going to either destroy the car or it will destroy our house. Now, we would like to protect both, but if we can't protect both, we won't risk our own house, or we won't risk our own life. To save that car, we won't risk our own life for that matter. If the fire is so big and if the car is caught fire, we won't risk our own life to save that car. After all, it's not our car. Yes, we can be selfless, but being selfless doesn't mean being brainless. So, if something doesn't belong to us, we won't go to extreme limits to try to protect it. And this body is saying Parakasyaiva. This body itself does not belong to me. Normally we think that I am the body, what to speak of body belonging to me. But Prahlad is clarifying here that, sorry, not Prahlad, here we have Yudhisthira Maharaj conveying the deep philosophical truth that even the body does not belong to us. The body actually belongs to others. Whom does it belong to? There is a whole analysis in later sections of the Bhagavatam, wherein it is stated that okay, the body will go ultimately to fire, so maybe it will be burned to ashes, so it belongs to fire, or it may go to the earth and be reduced to ashes, does it belong to the earth and the ashes? Or even when it is there, if the person is a slave, then the body belongs to the master. So actually, whom does the body belong to? Essentially, we think that I am the body, but far from we being the body, we are not the body, and the body is also not ours. The body is different from us, and we use the body while we are in this material existence, but the body is different from us. To the extent we recognize that, to the extent at the very least, we don't do sinful activities for the sake of gratifying the body, for the sake of satisfying the body. We recognize that okay, all this is good, but I don't have to be crazy about taking care of the body. Let me just focus on doing what I can for keeping the body functional and for using it positively for my higher purposes. But here Yudhisthira Maharaj is thinking that for the sake of maintaining this body. Now their idea is that they are Kshatriyas, and Kshatriyas are meant to be rulers. So how can they do their duty of protecting their citizens as martial guardians of society if they don't have a kingdom? So he's not thinking here out of his humility at one level, out of the illusion that has come out upon him because of ultimately Krishna's plan. He's thinking that I fought this war simply so that I could have gratification for my body. So for this body, just see my ignorance that I thought this body is mine, and therefore, for the sake of this body, I fought a war in which so many Akshahuni soldiers were killed. Sometimes we may, under the spell of illusion, give up something very important for something very trivial. So, for example, if somebody is giving an exam and it's an important exam, the student knows the answers also. The student gets the answers, then there's a big breakthrough in life, and maybe get admission in a very important college, or go abroad for a further development of career or whatever. And during this time, suddenly that person desires or decides that I can't do this. The person suddenly gets a temptation, oh, maybe there's an ice cream shop just outside the exam room, and I know at this time there's going to be a new, particular new brand of ice cream that's going to come. And the person just leaves the exam to go and eat the ice cream. And we say, this is ridiculous. You can eat the ice cream anytime later. You first give the exam right now. So the point is that to give up something important and urgent for something which can be done later, it is absurd. But yet when we come under illusion, the opportunity for spiritual growth is something which we get after many lifetimes when we have human form and when we have spiritual association. And if you give that up for petty bodily pleasures, then that is a colossal miscalculation, a tragic miscalculation. And he says, such a miscalculation indicates ignorance, it indicates illusion. And Parikshit Maharaj and Yudhisthira Maharaj in a similar movie is saying over here, Aho me pashyata ajnanam, just see my ignorance, that for the sake of maintaining this body, I have caused the death of so many Akshahuni soldiers. So for something so trivial, I paid so big a cost. And further, he is now going to map the cost in more specific terms. So many Akshahuni might seem vague, but in 49th text, next text he says, Bala Dvija Suhuran Mitra Bhratur Guru Druha Namisyan Nirayan Moksho Ya Api Varsha Yutai. So who all have been killed because of my foolishness? He explains, Bala, children. Now, from the perspective of Yudhisthira Maharaj, now Abhimanyu was basically a child. Even Duryodhana's son, Lakshmana, was like a child. So Bala, Dvija. One of the most low points of the epic is the brutal killing of Drona by Dhrishtadyumna. So Brahmanas were killed. Suhrun, those who were well-wishers, people like Shalya, they were tricked into fighting on the opposite side of the Pandavas. They were well-wishers. Suhrun, Mitra, they were his friends. So for example, Kritavarman was a friend of the Pandavas, especially a friend of Arjuna. Pitra, Bhratra, Guru, Druha. Bhratra is like brothers. Now, of course, at this particular point, he has come to know that Karna is his brother, so that has also caused him distress. And of course, the Kauravas were cousins, and some of them, like Vikarna, was relatively virtuous. Pitra, the whole generation of elders, parental generation, and the grandparental generation, this whole thing. Guru, of course, Krupa and Drona were both his teachers. Druha, so all these people to whom we are affectionate, whom we are meant to serve and take care of, Druha, I killed them. Namesyan Nirayan Moksho. Therefore, from Moksha, from Nirayan, Niraya is hell. So from hell I will not get liberation even if I perform atonement Even if I go to hell and even if I suffer for hell, Varshayuta Ayutai. Ayuta means millions, so Ayutai, again multiplying millions again and again, repeatedly for millions of lifetimes, millions of years, Varsha. If I go to hell, still the kind of sinful reaction I have accrued, that will not get exhausted. Here, of course, we know that Yudhisthira Maharaj fought in the cause of Dharma, fought for the cause of Dharma, and he will not go to hell. The fact that he goes to hell momentarily at the end of the Mahabharata, it is simply to illustrate this point that actually no one can live a life that is fully, spotlessly pure, and he certainly doesn't have to go for as long as he's talking about. But at this particular point of time, grief has distorted his perception, and it is not Yudhishthira speaking. In one sense, it is grief that has taken control of him that is speaking over here. नैनो राज्ञः प्रजा भर्तुर धर्मयुद्धे वधोद्विषाम् इति मे न तु बोधाय कल्पते शासनं वचः. Now, in one sense, Yudhishthira is not an ignorant fool. He knows the reasoning which was used to fight the war, and he knows that for a king who fights a dharma yuddha, Kshatriya is a martial guard in a society, and though when there are aggressors who disrupt the social order, at that time a Kshatriya is duty bound to fight. So Yudhishthira states here that actually I am aware of these things, but natu bodhaya, these things don't apply to me, they don't satisfy me, they don't illumine me because they are not relevant over here. Kalpate shasanam vachaha, that there are words which speak that dharma yuddhe vadhodvisham, that for the sake dharma yuddhe vadhodvisham, that in the righteous war, in a war for the sake of establishing dharma, vadhodvisham, killing of enemies, killing of the envious in the cause of dharmic yuddha, the king is allowed to do that. But naino rajya praja bhartur, that if a king, in order to protect his citizens, has to fight a dharma yuddha against miscreants, that is fine. But now that is the truth actually, but Yudhishthira is saying that doesn't apply to me. He is thinking that actually there was no need for me to have fought the war. Now at one level it is said that under Duryodhana, the kingdom was also being managed reasonably well. Prabhupada also says that Duryodhana was doing a fairly good job of managing the kingdom. Now, yes, Duryodhana knew that while he had a fairly long time, he had 13 years of time as the ruler, but he knew 13 years would get over, and his hold on the kingdom was not very solid, and that's why he didn't want to do anything exploitative during this period. So he tried to curry favor with all the opinion leaders in his kingdom, and he tried to give gifts and flatter people and try to win them over, not by his sincere dedication to their welfare, but by his desire to have to be able to perpetuate his hold on the throne. But other than considering any malicious or self-serving motive on the part of Duryodhana, Yudhishthira Maharaj is giving him the is simply looking at his actions and think that Duryodhana was managing the kingdom quite well. So it is not that I had to fight this war to protect the citizens. Actually speaking, yes, Duryodhana was managing the kingdom well during his reign, but he was by nature envious, malicious, vicious, and once he would have got unchallenged right to the throne, then his true colors would have come out and he would have started exploiting the citizens. But based on his track record till now, at least during the time when he was ruling over the kingdom, Yudhisthira Maharaj is feeling that, oh, it is not that Duryodhana was doing a terrible job. So he's saying that my Dharma Yuddha, that this particular battle that was fought, that cannot be called as a Dharma Yuddha. So this injunction does not apply to me. 1851. Strinam madhat bandhunam droho yosa ihothitah yothitah karmabhirgraha medhiyai naham kalpo vyapohitum. Strinam madhat bandhunam, of the woman whose relatives, whose bandhus, whose protectors, be they husbands or brothers or children or other relatives, whatever, fathers or whatever, and I have killed them. And droho yo asa ihothitaha, uttita, iha, here, such droha, such enmity, such animosity, such anger has arisen because of this. Karma bhir grahamedhiyai, that grahamedhiyai, if the word grahamedhi usually has a negative connotation as it is used in the Bhagavatam, but grahamedhi basically does not have to always have a negative connotation. Here it refers to the idea that Grahamedhis have a material conception of life, material conception of Graha. They think in terms of improving things materially and enjoying things materially. So here, rather than the negative connotation, here the point is the material conception. And karma. Karma means work, fruitive work. Karma often means good work, pious work. Karmabhir grahamedhiyair naham kalpo vyapohitum. That even if I expertly do a lot of punya, lot of pious work for ameliorating the harmful effects of this fratricidal war, still that work cannot be mitigated. So the point is, Yudhisthira Maharaj is anticipating and countering various counters to his lamentation. He says, some people may say that it is a dharma yuddha. No, it is not a dharma yuddha. Okay, even if you feel you have done some papa, you can actually do welfare work, and in a practical sense try to counter whatever harm has happened. But he says no, the harm that has happened is so colossal that it cannot be countered. And then text 52 states, यथा पंकेन पंकाम्भः सुरयावा सुराकृतं भूतहत्यां तथैवैकां न यज्ञैर्मार्ष्टुमर्हति. यथा पंकेन पंकाम्भः, just as you cannot, if water is muddy and if you use mud, we cannot clean the mud. Or surayava surakritam, because we cannot, if a pot is got the smell of wine, and I will put some further wine into it, that smell won't go away. Bhuta hatyam tathaivaikam. So similarly, they said these two endeavors are futile, so by the same token, thaivaikam. So bhuta hatyam, I have killed so many living beings, and that na yajnair marshtum arhati. It's not possible that by doing yajna, by prescribed sacrifices, marshtum, the counteracting of that cannot be done. So if somebody argues that, okay, you are not just concerned about providing relief for those who have been distressed, But even if you feel that you have to get rid of the karmic reactions, you can do punya karma. You can actually do yajna karma. And by doing fire sacrifices, you can counter whatever sinful reaction might be there. So he says no. Such fire sacrifices will not lead to the countering of those reactions. And what he used two examples that mud cannot clean mud water, and wine cannot remove the smell of wine in a pot. Wine cannot clean a wine stained pot. In this way, one cannot actually become free. The point here is, we have in today's context, Einstein said that problems created at one level of consciousness cannot be solved at that level of consciousness. Something similar is being said over here, that actually we need something higher to be able to deal with this problem of our current entanglement in material existence. So Yudhisthira Maharaj is right ultimately that karma, the bad effects of bad karma cannot be countered by doing good karma. We need something higher for that. We need bhakti which will liberate us from the karmic entanglement, and that practice of bhakti is something which is going to be the solution that Bhishma Pitama will offer in the next chapter. But at this stage, Yudhisthira Maharaj, the point that he is making is philosophically correct, but it is not contextually relevant, because in his context he has not done papa, and he is actually being enjoying not just to do punya when he is told to become a king and do yajna. He is being asked to do, he is not done papa, and he is not being asked to do punya, but he is being asked to do bhakti by doing the will of the Lord and taking up the kingdom and the mood of service to the Lord. So after Kunti's prayers get over, the Bhagavatam in a very quick narrative shift moves to the next topic. So Kunti Maharani is offering exalted devotional prayers, and after those prayers actually end in 43. Krishna's response to that is those prayers in 44, and to end one line of 45 also. But then from 45 to 52, the frame shifts quickly, and now Yudhisthira Maharaj's grief is strongly being expressed over here. And the counter of this grief, or how the wisdom that will enable him to overcome this grief, that will be described in the next chapter. So in this chapter, the Bhagavatam focuses on three themes: how Parikshit is attacked by Ashwatthama and saved by Krishna, how Kunti offers prayers which culminate in surrendered pure devotion, and Yudhisthira Maharaj's grief. So the protection of Parikshit goes on till verse 16, Kunti's prayers 17 to 44, and 45 to 52 is Yudhisthira Maharaj's lamentation. How Yudhisthira Maharaj's lamentation will be removed, that we will discuss in the next chapter in future classes. Thank you.